Okay, so here we have two numbers, two fractions, and we're multiplying them together. One thing you need to know about when you're multiplying a fraction of a number by another fraction, meaning that there are no whole numbers involved, the opposite happens of when you actually are multiplying numbers greater than 1. And so what happens when you multiply two numbers that are in between 0 and 1 is our product is going to be less than either one of the quotients. So I already know that when I have my product at the end of this equation, I know that my product needs to be less than 3/4. And so what I'm going to do, and if you don't understand what happens when you're multiplying fractions, when you go back and scan the task card, go ahead and click on the image in the top right corner, that video. That video kind of lays it out. We've talked about what happens when you multiply fractions, but it can definitely be confusing, and I understand needing a refresher because, like I said, it is very different from multiplying whole numbers, which is what you're most used to from previous grades. Okay, so the thing about multiplying fractions, unlike when you are adding or subtracting fractions, is you don't begin by finding a common denominator. You don't need to do that. Actually, if you find a common denominator, you're oftentimes making more work for yourself because you are inevitably going to have to reduce your number. You're going to have to find, your product is going to have to have a least common denominator. Okay, so if I begin here, I'm actually just going to multiply across. So I take my 3, my numerator, I'm going to multiply the 3 and the 2, and I get a product of 6. And then I multiply my denominators 4 and 5, and I get 20. Now, I look at this problem here, and I know that 6/20 is not going to be my final answer. And the reason for that is they're both even numbers. And so I automatically know that both of these numbers already share a common factor. I know that 6 has a factor of 2 and 20 also has a factor of 2. And I talked about this in the subtraction video. You can go ahead, and it is good practice. You can list out your factors. I like to make a T-chart. So my factors of 6, of course, are 1 and 6, the number itself, and 2 and 3. So those are my only factors of 6, 2 and 3. My factors of 20 are, of course, 1 and 20, and 2 and 10. And you should be able to see right off the bat, like I said, we know that 2 is a common factor. I knew that because both of them were even. Also, to make 20, I can do 4 and 5. 2 is the only one that's on both sides of the T-chart, meaning 2 is the only factor they have. So if I divide 6 by 2, my numerator, I'm also going to need to divide my denominator by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 20 divided by 2 is 10. I cannot go any lower than 3/10, meaning 3/10 is my final answer.